I think on my side,
Sir?
due to maintenance, there is power.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Very good afternoon to one and all present here. Myself, Eha Hinian, Assistant Professor, going to be a moderator for the afternoon session. A teacher is a compass that activates the magnets of curiosity, knowledge, and wisdom in the pupils. We are stepping into the second day of faculty development program on emerging trends in legal education. Now, I request our beloved principal convener, Professor Dr. Gauri Ramesh ma'am, to deliver welcome address. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Eha.
Thank you.
Good afternoon to one and all present here for the second session of today's FPP program. And I wholeheartedly welcome Professor Dr. Sankar sir, Professor and former Registrar of Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University. Sir is a very sincere and hardworking person and definitely a taskmaster when it comes to administration and academics. No one can deny that. And I have the wonderful opportunity to work along with him when Sir was the controller in charge and me as the chief examiner. I learnt a lot from him regarding meticulous planning and execution of any administrative work given. Sir, whenever the subject criminal law comes, the first person to come in my mind is none other than you, sir. I thank you, sir, from the bottom of my heart for accepting our humble invite to deliver a lecture on teaching criminal law for the young law faculty here. I'm sure the participants will have an enriching session ahead, sir. Thank you once again, sir, and thank you one and all. Over to you, Eha.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Those who know do, those who understand teach. By the sayings of Aristotle, on the happiest note, as a student, absolutely, it fits my respected professor today. On behalf of the Chennai Dr. Ambedkar Government Law College, Pudupakkam, I welcome the dynamic resource person, Professor Dr. D. Shankar, former registrar of the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University, Chennai. He graduated LLB and then LLM in crime and tort. Further, he had done PhD in criminal law specialization. He is a former registrar, head of the department, PG Department of Criminal Law and Criminal Justice Administration. He is a member in Academic Council, Tamil Nadu National Law School, Tirchi. He is a chairman, postgraduate Board of Studies, Department of Criminal Law and Criminal Justice Administration. He is a member in Comparative Law Association, Pondicherry. He is Academic Council, Tamil Nadu National Law School, Tirchi. He is Academic Senate cum member in Board of Studies, UG and PG in Law University. He is a member in PG Board of Studies, Cochin University of Science and Technology. He presented n number of research papers in various national and international levels and published various research papers at international and national renowned journals. Welcome Professor Dr. D. Shankar to talk about the topic of teaching criminal law. Sir, the forum is yours, sir.
Thank you for the kind words, Ekagini.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And I'm very happy to associate myself in the FDP organized by the Chennai Dr. Ambedkar Government Law College, Pudupakkam, in joining us with the Directorate of Legal Studies, presently headed by my preeminent friend, Dr. Chokanigam, with whom I had a long association of around 40 years. Dear friends, access and training of professionals is something which is indispensable to keep the tempo for personnels who are there in the professional line. Updating of the knowledge is a sine qua non for one who has chosen the professional line, more particularly an advocate, whatever may be the role he may be playing, be it a practitioner or a prosecutor or a judicial officer, equally for a law teacher. And one who pays for performing a continuity of legal education is a must. Perhaps in realization of this, Dr. Gauri Ramesh, whom in my assessment will be a silent performer, has been instrumental in mooting an idea of organizing a program of this nature and has been successful in continuing it to this level. Congrats and thanks, madam, for having invited me in this occasion. When mooted of this idea to organize a program of this nature, and when Dr. Gauri Ramesh wanted me to play a minuscule role to steer a session and address the, registered candidates, my thought was that instead of going for a extensive lecturing, I thought it will be enough as a student of law and as a teacher. I thought fit sharing my own experiences, more like an introspection with regard to the teaching process which has been going in the Indian scenario. And the very word crime, so definitely shakes one, and the sickening atmosphere which has been faced by the police machinery, the investigative team, and more particularly when it comes to the court, examining people who have had a criminal record, facing them in the court, and then examining witnesses who chances to see the crime. So all this may not be tolerated by all our students. And it is my personal and kind opinion. I don't know how many of you will be endorsing it, that though popular and very much demanding, both for teaching and as well as for practice, the branch criminal law has not been given its due importance. This I'll try to substantiate later point of it. I'm equally certain that if serious attention, if paid, can bring in quality practitioners on the criminal side before the courts, and also teachers who can really make their presence felt in the legal education sector. I'm sure that every one of you who have been listening this will be having a doubt, will be raising a question. What is special with criminal law? Why is it to be given so much importance? And is it not just another subject which has been studied in the curriculum for LLB courses or a 5-year LLB, stream, integrated stream? My answer to them is, can you see a day without crime? Or can you imagine a society which is crimeless? So the answer is perhaps known to every one of you. Dear friends, crime is universal and is inevitable. In fact, counterintuitive theory justifies crime and speaks about the beneficial aspect of crime also. More concerned about the negative aspects, the criminal justice system has been formulated, and the criminal law, the very foundation of this system, has been brought forth to administer state dispensed justice, more controlled by the states in the Indian scenario, being placed in the 7th schedule as a state subject. Dear friends, crime has a complex interplay in the sense it correlates with individual rights, liberty, democratic governance, as also pragmatism. And this is one subject which, in my knowledge, is solely multidisciplinary, in the sense all other major disciplines in the legal curriculum. Please remember, the proficiency of which need to be known to a criminal law teacher. Not alone that, even other fields of, whether professional or otherwise, be it medicine, or be it agriculture, or be it technology. So unless otherwise, a teacher who has been keen in pursuing the career, if he's not knowing the basics, conceptual ideas, I am certain that he has no place to play a role of a criminal law teacher. And let me tell you, there are several instances or cases wherein even a cobbler has been called as an expert, unless otherwise you know the technicalities of the work of a cobbler. or the menial job which is done by a scavenger, or at times even a washerman. The thing is that may be helping you to win a case, and for that the nuances which are there, known to this person else need to be known to the lawyer also. I'll bring from my own experience a case, a notorious case, which has been the dealt, before perhaps many of your births, in the, but prior to 70s or say 80s, 70s. And it's a very famous case, which many of you who are there in the late age of above 50 may be knowing. It's a case of Udaya Kumar, which has startled the student community and has been, a wrangle between the governance and that of the, almost all institutions. It's a case of Udaya Kumar, if I remember correct. So in that case, the student leader who has been, politically vindicated, and then the police machinery has been used for liquidating him. The very unfortunate thing is that after the death of that individual, even his own father, including his mother, has disowned that he is not his son for the obvious reason, so that no other culminations may not be there into it. So in that process, in that litigation, so this is a small memory which I recollect, wherein my own senior, forgettable figure, Mr. R. Radhakrishnan from Kadlur, Bar, has been dealing the matter, and he was very voracious in explaining all the eventualities during my short tenure of practice under him. And when for the fact whether the deceased is the son of so and so or not, when this fact was discussed in the court of law, when his own father is there standing in the witness box, so unaware of him, suddenly, my senior has pulled out the shirt of that particular person and requested the court to make a marking, the Dobby mark which has then the shirt. And this has been taken as an exhibit, as a fact on the records of the court. So whereafter, in the postmortem, the dress which has been worn by the individual has also been recovered, and it has been there marked as an exhibit. And by way of comparison of the Dobby mark which is there present in this, the shirt of the son and that of the father, I think this is a very, crucial clue which help, wherein the father is dumbstruck, is not able to go beyond it, and he was politely in a state to admit that he is his own son. And what I want to convey is that here the Dobby marking has been considered to be a small fact which led to, convinced before the court of law, a disputed fact, and it was helpful for the judiciary to arrive the later issues also. And dear friends, let me take you to the state reports which are there, which is available, in the, internet media. And pretty well, NCRB, the National Crime Records Bureau, the repository of information on crime and the criminals, has been reporting every year, and it is doing a novel job in that sense. And if you peruse the report of 2020, it reports around 51,56,172 cognizable crimes being committed in India. Dear, please remember the number of cases. So no doubt the further comparison of the crimes reported in the previous years, now it gives a small consolation in that. From the year 1990, when the crime rate was around some 5.06, has come down, and the reflective figure 51,56,172 has been taking the crime rate in India to around some 3.08. And please imagine, when so much crimes, 51,000 lakhs crimes are committed in India, how many of them would have been on the area of taking the lives of people? How many of them would have deprived the property of others? And how much amount has been spent in investigating, in conducting, adjudicating, and then ultimately deciding the matter, and then seeing to that these peoples are also put in the prison atmosphere for condemnation. And what I want to convey is that the crime cost has not been taken to analysis by any of the research or I think in the Indian scenario, something has not been done so far. Let me make a small comparison with the other figures. The crime index for countries, I think an equivalent report which has been published, which speaks about the crimes and the crime rate which has been then reflected in all the countries, whether developed or undeveloped. And in that sense, they come with a very encouraging figure. Switzerland, Denmark, Norway, New Zealand, and Japan. They show or they reflect an effective enforcement of criminal justice. In that sense, they are able to achieve the crime rate which is of manageable nature. And interestingly, when they speak about the crime cost, it is shown the annual crime cost of UK. It has been shown as 37 billion pounds. This is for violent crimes, and nearly 73 billion pounds for white collar criminality. And incidentally, if so much amount has been either deprived from the person who has been as a victim or from the state machinery exchequer, so definitely serious thought need to be done with regard to analyze the economical aspect of crime also in the crime criminal justice system. But I'm very sorry to say, in Indian scenario, no serious thought has been set for the purpose of examining either the crime cost or the economic cost of crime or criminal justice. So this is the pathetic situation. The focus of my presentation here is not for, either teaching criminal law, which I think is not the purview of this program. And equally, it is not for reorienting you to the subject. And I'm just interested in introspecting the way we have been taught as a student and the way we have taught the students in our longest tenure of around some 30 years to the students of law on the subject criminal, the crime criminal law and related. So let me find an answer by posing 3 questions, which may be relevant or which may be, serving the purpose to discuss the topic which I have taken. Who is to teach criminal law? What to teach and how to teach? And I think if you are able to get an answer to this, a satisfying answer, and if you feel what we have been pursuing till date is of, an expected level, then automatically the answer is that legal education has really surpassed in its level. And let me take the first question. Who is to teach criminal law? And the general perception, which is there, followed almost in all institutions, including one which I traverse, is that anybody can teach. But in the language of the regulatory bodies, whether it is UGC and which is going to be in a different state, possibly at the in a short duration, the Bar Council of India or the universities which are either affiliating or which are conferring the degree. In their purview, a qualified teacher is one who fulfills the UGC Art6. The UGC Art6, as you all know, is nothing but prescription of acquiring 55% in the PG level of study with NET or PhD, and at times and PhD also. So now it's my personal view. Let me tell you, the UGC has been faltering in prescribing the minimum qualification for teachers, and this has been happening from the year 1991. And you might be knowing the the boomerang which has taken after introduction of the 1-year LLM curriculum, and which, as per the new rules formulated by the Bar Council of India, has been declared to have been abolished from the next year. And at several stages, the University Grants Commission has been meddling with the legal education in various parameters, and none of them has been constructive. And in my view, this is perhaps one reason where the deteriorating standard of legal education has been there, more particularly in the criminal law side. I think with regard to the existing legal fraternity and RTA information which has been sought reflects that there are around some 1.3 million lawyers in Indian scenario. And incidentally, the chairman of the BCA, Mr. Manan Kumar Mishra, has given an interview to the New York Times, wherein he has said the figure is around some 1.7 million. And let us, I think, he has not confirmed it further. And it's a mirage, let me tell you. Still now we are not able to get an exact figure. And in a recent case, which has come before the Madras High Court just 1 or 2 days back, the Standing Council has been representing, and he has been, I think, in a case related to Annamalai University. They made a submission that every year around some 3 lakh students are emerging from the law colleges, inclusive of the national law universities, besides some around 1,000 plus law colleges in the Indian market. Now, kindly remember, no doubt, the legal profession in India is the largest in the world, and it's an undeniable merit. But when it speaks, when we, I think, concern about the quality, and my listening to the, I think, the members who have been addressing yesterday program, almost everyone has been noting this point about the quality of legal education in India. And my personal view is that being there in the field, in the same line, and it will be more like spitting on the sky, lying down. So where the spitted thing will be falling in our face itself. And no doubt we are also contributing to it, through this fate of ours. Obviously, the blame cannot be thrown on, a single entity. So it's a collective, error. Somehow it has happened. And the reasoning might be very many. No doubt, I am also here to point the defects which are there in the existing system, more particularly on the criminal law line. Let me take 3 instances wherein I am very pointed to say that the standard of legal education has really not to the expected level. And it's not, to a standard where one can apply. So I need not confirm this. The affidavit which has been submitted by the government of India in a case methyl isocyanate relating to Bhopal tragedy. I think, the very government itself has submitted an affidavit stating that the Indian legal academia is not, I think, well versed to contest a case in the foreign land. So this is nothing but a shame, and we need to digest. And with regard to the facts which I want to bring before you, the happenings at 3 varying periods in my, tenure of, teacher. In 1990, this is fact which has happened when I think I personally appeared for an interview towards selection of a civil judge. And the fact is that before the interview, we have been there discussing along with my friends. And one gentleman who has been there observing me for nearly around some 20 to 30 minutes. And he was very seriously making the short time, last minute preparations with a book. And he came near to me and he introduced himself to be practicing in a rural base for around some 7 to 8 years. And then he was clarifying certain things, which me and my friend has been, I think, putting it to him. And after, I think, clarifying all his doubt, he was satisfied. And then he very innocently put a question to me, which took me by shock, let me tell you. He was posing a question. So why that when murder has been placed under section 302, why they have taken it to 439 for the purpose of bail? And this, I think, those who are there in the criminal line may be pursuing the, patent, anomaly. And he doesn't know, the purview of a substantive law with the objective law. And he was correlating Indian Penal Code with criminal procedure. And he was of the impression that what is the necessity of keeping these provisions in separate, at a distance, without realizing each one of these code is playing a different role. This is one instance. The second incident, which interestingly has happened in the law university when I was adoring the post of registrar, along with my, honored, respectable friend, Dr. Vijay Kumar, who has been adoring the program yesterday. Then a gentleman, High Court of the High Court Judiciary respected officer who now stands elevated to the Supreme Court. He used to come there, for a short break. At that point of time, civil judge selection has been going on. The paper has been corrected at the Judicial Academy, which is nearby to our university. And just for the purpose of relaxing, he'll come there occasionally, and he will discuss on various, matters, inclusive of legal education. And he was very jocularly, putting a word. So I was correcting the paper, and I saw a student has written a word confusion for nearly around some 10 pages. And I am not able to, convince myself what is the purpose of using this language. And only when I read the question, I was able to clarify that he was using the language confusion for the word confession. This is an abstract truth which has happened in the selection process for civil judges in the state of Tamil Nadu. This is second incident. And the third, which is very, well known to all of you, the interpretations which are given to the, rape and rape offenders, and the skin to skin doctrine, which has been evolved by the judicial officer at Bombay. I think many of you might be knowing it. And unless otherwise, the thing is, but for the interventions of the Supreme Court, the dastardliness which has been created by the judicial officer would have been very serious. And then another incident which has happened in the Madras High Court circle, where the rape, the victim of rape has been suggested to marry the, very rapist, the accused, which has happened in the court of, Madras High Court, which again, at the intervention of the media and other judicial members, has been put to a reversion. These are nothing but incidences which reflects the standard of legal education which has been going on, not alone in Tamil Nadu, but in the overall India. And my personal view is that we have been constantly in error in looking for teachers with qualification rather than searching for quality teachers. So what are the qualities which are needed for a teacher? And interestingly, the Bar Council of India has also been sensitive of this, which by its vision statement made in 2011-13 has been describing it in very, unique words, and then has been suggesting so many reforms. And no doubt, the state of affairs, in spite of the regulatory bodies being there, the dimensionally expanding to a level where it brings in some thousands of candidates every year, not only for getting a degree, and seriously for the purpose of pursuing the practice. The real state of affairs, what I mean is that it stands in the same level which has been put to observation by Mr. Stuttelberg in his Law Commission report, 14th Law Commission report, which I read it and repeat it again, nothing short of a document of defamation. Dear friends, most of the law colleges, the teacher who has been teaching the subject, the specialized criminal law, may be either a fresh faculty, or he might be one who has not been, in a stature not to be accommodated with, other subjects. And no specialized teacher, this is, an acute shortage of faculty is, one a perennial fact which is there in legal scenario in India. I agree. With a large number of students enrolling themselves for legal education, when many of them are seriously pursuing it, and the acuteness of teachers, more particularly on specialized subjects, is something a serious concern. And what is it special with the criminal law alone? Why not in other subjects? And as I told you earlier, the majority of incidences and the assurance which is given to you to enjoy your rights has also all been endowed only by the due operation of the criminal law and the effective enforcement of criminal justice. If you imagine a society where police is not there, or if you imagine a society where at any point of time somebody will be, plundering your valuables, or you may be putting your life on risk, please remember, you cannot enjoy all the freedoms which are either constitutionally or legally conferred on you. And nevertheless, all these legal structures, the criminal law structures, the justice system, the law, all has been designed for the purpose of ensuring that you are enjoying your rights, not to be meddled by others. And for that purpose, enforcement setup which has been done in India, more like other countries, no doubt is encouraging, and it has been surviving for so many number of years. But what really happens in the educational sector is that the subject, if taught by a specialized person, will definitely will make a mark, will make a difference. But you may pose a question, what's wrong in teaching the subject when he has studied the subject, either in the UG curriculum, UG level or in the PG level, the precepts of IPC, CRPC, and the Evidence Act. And my kind submission is that, and if you feel having studied these subjects in the UG level, if a mastered qualified teacher is competent to teach the subjects, so why not we permit the advocate themselves to teach the subjects? He'll be more proficient. He'll be having more experience than a teacher. And incidentally, Dr. Vijay Kumar has been giving a new, syllable for the word net yesterday. And though it may look like a joke, what I really perceive is that we are looking for qualification without seeing to that whether the individual will be having a command over the subject, whether he is having the, real, interest in teaching the curriculum to the students, whether he is persevering, whether he has the passions, whether he is having keen interest in pursuing this, learning process and teaching process into the classroom is a really myth. And my kind submission to the question, who need to teach, is that my kind submission is that unless otherwise, qualified teachers who are specialized in the subject, if they have an hilarity and then a conceptual clarity, and if they go there in the classroom, please remember, this will make a, vast difference. Rather than allowing somebody to play the role of a teacher, to stand before the students, just read the provisions and then convey them the substance of it. As you all know, the curricular content is, has been designed only for the purpose of giving a license to the lawyers for the purpose of taking up the practice. It has not been designed either for a teacher or for anyone who has been playing the role of a judicial officer. This is an abstract truth in India. So unlike some Western countries, more particularly in France, we have a special stream for nurturing lawyers to take up the question of judicial officers. Whereas in India, it's a common pool. And as I said earlier, of the population, which is accelerating to nearly around 1.7, the language of the chairman of Bar Council of India, I think among them, we just pick up teachers, we just pick up the judicial officer. They are the one who are playing the role. No doubt, we have sailed along for so long a time. And I think partly we have been successful in seeing to that the orderliness and then the administration has been continued to a satisfactory level. But that may not be sufficient for the simple reason, as I said earlier, if an effective, educational stream has been brought in, and if we are able to bring in quality teachers and quality practitioners, definitely the thing is the scenario would have been different. But the reality is that it is not to that level. Then the second question is that what need to be taught, more particularly when it comes to criminal law subjects or criminal branch of criminal law. I know law colleges are the only gateways. And prior to 1987, if I remember correct, the law degree has been conferred only for those people who have been qualified with a undergraduate, qualification. Only after completion of a degree, you can join the course. So we are all in that stream. And at that point of time, the real fact is that the law degree has been conferred to the successful candidate only for the purpose of enabling him to take a license to go for practice. And the director of legal studies, Dr. Chokalingam, might be remembering, in our batch, we had around some 60 students. who got enrolled for the first year, and which, to my memory, had only 3 girls who has joined the course. Unfortunately, none of them has completed and then taken up any line of legal pursuit. And of the 60, if I remember correct, not even around some, I think, 20 or 25 has passed the final year. And to the extreme level, even around some 10 to 15 has not gone for practice. And the ultimate residue were that I could remember Shokalingam, myself, Devanathan, and few others who have been there in the teaching scenario. This is the reality. And the UG curriculum then designed had the subjects IPC, CRPC, and the Indian Evidence Act. And you know pretty well, the IPC is nothing but a compendium which defines the criminal behaviors which are very apparent in the social atmosphere. Then it speaks about the elements which are necessary for the purpose of distinguishing one type of crime from the other. And it prescribes the punishment and includes the pre-stages of crime also. And in my view, no one who has been either practicing or who have been a teacher can very accurately say the number of crimes which are there in the Indian market. And it has been escalating. Every day you may see new type of crimes. It might be, the gravity may be different, but the crimes, no, it has been there perennial, having its own devastating effect. And IPC is considered to be one of the major legislation. Besides that, hundreds and hundreds of other legislations are there in the name special statutes or local laws. And to help enforce this statute, you know pretty well, the Criminal Procedure Code and then Indian Evidence Act has been included in the curriculum. And besides that, no serious thought has been given then prior to 1987 to see or equip the student to take up a criminal practice. Mostly these are done only after entry into the practical line. And the unfortunate scenario then prevailed is that a serious student, a highly sensitive student, howsoever serious he is there to study the legal papers, he cannot withstand the atmosphere which was there in the court scenario. And the reality is that studious students have come out of the court practice and they are there to take up other avenues. In many of the cases, it's not even related to law. And after 1987, the introduction of the integrated courses, now we brought in 5-year courses, which besides imparting these 3 papers, Indian Penal Code, CRPC, and Indian Evidence Act, brought in the other subjects also, more oriented towards including the clinical education in the sense, the giving practical exposure to the students. And unfortunately, in my view, there was a clear divide in the imparting of legal education in India. One by the traditional law colleges, either under the control of university or the autonomous stature, and the other one being the specialized law universities and law schools, which has come in to occupy in every state now to escalate to the number of around some 24. No doubt, the quality of legal education, which has been, curricularly designed and imparted and then emanating from the students, is something encouraging from the circle of national law universities. But this has brought, a clear divide in the sense, the same degree which has been conferred has been, permitting the student to take a practice. But the reality is that not all students who emerge out of the national stream has been encouraged or interested in taking up the practice. They go to the corporate sector and the courtroom corridors are missing the so-called excellent students from the national universities. But who are there before these traditional courts? They are none other than those who has come out of the traditional law colleges. And what is needed is that not alone the theoretical impartation of the subject, giving a practical exposure, which has been visualized by the new stream of integrated studies, and much effort has been done in designing the curriculum by the Bar Council of India. No doubt, they thought fit to bring in so many, new novelties in the sense court visits, observation of proceedings, and then judgment reading, judgment writing, and then attending the legal aid forum. All these things, no doubt, are encouraging, which gave an exposure to the students in the sense. At one point of time, we even allowed a student who just emerged from the college with a degree to take up the judicial positions. And in the sense, they presume they have not only the theoretical knowledge, but also practical knowledge. But the scenario has changed in the sense, even this 5-year curriculum has, which has come with all lucrativeness, has lost its luster. And the reality is that now even this has been equated to more like a degree which has been conferred to the students. In many of the institutions, sorry to say this, they are just printing presses who are giving the documents, who are giving a certificate to the candidate. And these are the people who, without seriousness, who are there before the court corridors, give a bad image to them, legal education. And interestingly, let me tell you, the learning curve, what we draw for either UG stream or for PG stream, is still inadequate in my perception. And as I said earlier, when originally designed for enabling one to take a practice, when the same curriculum has been followed for the purpose of expecting a teacher, expecting a student to take up the role of a teacher, and expecting a student who need to adore the position of judicial officers. Now, let me imagine the scenario which has been happening in the municipal courts. And unlike the High Court and Supreme Court circle, the practicing atmosphere in the municipal court is something devastating in my field. And the reasoning may be very many. The causative factor may be very many. But my kind submission is that those students who emerge out of the colleges, we take a practice. Regulatory measure is there with the Bar Council of India. And I think I feel like serious attention need to be done to check out non-serious candidates who are there before the court corridors, and which indirectly spoils the image of the very advocate community itself. And incidentally, the behaviors which are there, even in the court corridors at times, are not encouraging. And this, if you are interested, you can see yourself when you visit the municipal courts in the city, metropolitan city. And what is needed to be imparted in the UG curriculum still now is that they need to know the basic conceptual ideas. They need to know when they read the IPC, they need to know what is, malum insi and malum prohibitum, what is nullum pona principle, and the exception to the behavior which are considered to be crime, and then the interplay between the actus reus and mens rea, and then the characteristics which will help the person to, assess whether the charge has been rightly framed or not. And when they know what is what, and with that, they are allowed to take the practice. And when they go to the PG level, when the PG curriculum has been designed, please remember, specializations are there, and inclusive of criminal law, so many other branches have been, come into the frame. And when anyone who has been interested in taking up a specialization of criminal law, he is not only to master in the, basic legal statutes of IPC and CRPC. Besides that, there are other areas which need to be mastered. For example, unless otherwise he knows the police administration, unless otherwise he knows what criminal law teaches is that what need to be done during investigation. What really occurs during investigation is no one is aware of it. This perhaps so long we have been learning it only by reading the court records. When they read the charge sheet, when they read the flaw which has been committed by the police machinery, the thing is that the very sickening feeling is that you will see the police machinery has been bringing in charges only those which are very familiar to you. And there are umpty number of legal provisions which are not been even invoked till date. And this is a ritual which has been committed by the police machinery, which are taken advantage by the practicing advocates. The crime scene processing, the forensic skills which are necessary for the purpose of examining the forensic science, and the very principles which are the law enforcement machinery. Then the ethical perspectives of police, lawyers, and judges, the victimological orientation of the criminal justice system, then the purview of probation and parole, the sentencing process, the juvenile justice stream, all these are one connected with other. Unless otherwise, I think a criminal law teacher can correlate all these factors and then bring them to the students to infuse not only interest, but also to make them realize the importance of studying this branch. The thing is, he cannot be called as a teacher. And interestingly, the thing is, till now, the curriculum or the what you call it as a pedagogy, which has been formulated for imparting legal education to the students who are pursuing criminal law, I think unfortunately misses many of these elements. It just gives you the core subjects and leaves the option to the candidate to take it serious to study later. I think or to with the test which satisfies the minimal, I think every day. And the new emanating crimes are also there. So my, I think few analysis is that in future we may not be seeing much of the penal provisions which are touched upon by the Indian Penal Code. We may come with crimes mostly of technological nature, and don't be surprised the escalating rate with which the drones are put to use in Indian scenario, not only here in the, I think other markets. Please remember, it may need a regulation. The artificial intelligence, which is taking the, I think its frame in the, I think overall subjects related to living, it may regulation, the data protection, and then the automated vehicles which have to be introduced and which has been in the research process, the cryptocurrencies which are marketed, which has been uploaded now in India, and the crypto assets which are gathered by those people who have been dealing on bitcoins and cryptocurrencies, all needs a new clarity for the purpose of criminal law to be touched upon. And similarly, the administrative structure of enforcement, what do you call it, no? The criminal procedure and the principle which has been adhered to has been becoming redundant. And what one point of time you might be knowing, unless otherwise the men's law plays a major role. Unless otherwise, I think there is a I think intersection of men's law and actors. Yes, the thing is, it may not be called as a crime. But time and again, we have been seeing new types of crimes called otherwise as strict liability offences, where by way of either presumption or by way of the statutory format, the men's law has been, I think, denounced with. The burden of proof has taken a different chip by virtue of calling for presumptions. And in the Indian scenario, where the conviction rate is very negligible when compared to the rate of crimes which are registered. So definitely a serious thinking need to be done for the purpose of going for a reform, not only in the drafting of criminal law, but also in the procedural setup. And when it comes to evidential law, let me make a small mention. And sometime back you would have come across a news which said a girl, I think who has lost her husband nearly around some 26 years, I think back. She was able to use his sperm for the purpose of giving birth to a child. And you might be knowing, India now has been with fertility centers. And the new meaning which is given to marriage and the marriage relationships and the sexual relationship between a male and female or same gender has been taking the criminal law into a different direction. When read in all these lines, now you might be knowing what relevancy Section 112 of the Indian Evidence Act will be having now. And take for instance, and it speaks about the principle of legitimacy. And who will be called as a father when after the death of the individual, after nearly some 26 years, when you are able to use technologically, scientifically, the germinating cell from the person to bring in, yes, I think, a newborn child. Now, all this is, I think, posing an hilarity, and it gives rise to a temptation that what we have been following as a law, as a principle, needs to be, I think, shown a revision. Then I think, let me take it to the new area of the subjects, more particularly with regard to the forensic science. The importance of forensic science has not been still realized by the curriculum frameworks in India, and it's just remaining as an optional paper. If at all, if you are interested to pursue a postgraduate study, the option is there with the university. And when it comes to the subject, let me tell you, it is something very crucial, and it brings in new technologies. And for the purpose of giving an incitement, let me tell you, there are certain new techniques which has come into fray, the fray, what is called as LAICPMS, otherwise called as laser ablation indicativity counted plasma mass spectrometry. So this is a technique with which, if glass pieces are there in a crime scene, they all could be collected, and all could be, I think, individually analyzed. And by examination of the glass pieces, howsoever minuscule the piece may be, the forensic expert, along with the investigative team, will be able to say the direction of the bullet, if at all it is, or the force of the impact which has been created by the bullet, and the type of weapon which has been used for the purpose of breaking the glass. All of this can very clearly be, deciphered by using of this technique. And similarly, there is yet another technique, what we call it as video spectral comparator 2000. So this is a technique which says, normally we will be going for comparison on the handwriting of it, or the obligations which are there in the paper, or any markings, the longevity of the paper. All this could be tracked by, forensic science. But whereas this technique, what I said as video spectral comparator 2000, even if the paper is totally dilapidated, where it is, very older, gone to shambles, the same could be used for the purpose of, not only bringing together, Indonesian, but also tracing what is the content of it. And this is a, very interesting technique. Then for, for illustrative purpose, let me take you to another technique called as 3D, forensic, reconstruction. It's called as real life human remains extrapolates whatever remaining. Now, even if it is of, a longer duration of around 10 to 15 years. So originally, only when the remains are there, either by, the facial recognition technique or other means, we'll be able to identify the victim and trace the identity of the person else. But herein, even a small bone or a teeth of the, exhumed person, if this has been put to analysis, I think they will be able to say not only the age, but also the, time when this has gone to the area of decomposition. All this could easily be traced. And let me bring to you a small incident which has happened during my practice. Mostly, then really, I don't know if this is forensic science. It happened somewhat in the year 1985, if I remember correct. There, a husband, he has killed his wife, and he has taken the body to a Casuarina Bay, which is near to a river, and then taken a graveyard and there, and then buried the body. And this body was exhumed because of dog scrambling and pulling the hand of the girl after nearly a month. And this was taken for trial after investigation, and we are there to conduct the trial before the session judge at South Africa district. Interestingly, what we did then was not morally right, and we were able to utilize the skill which is there always available with the criminal side practitioner. And the doctor who has been called in for conducting the postmortem and examined before the court of law, he has given the exact date when he suspected the the girl would have lost her life. The time of death and the date of death has been very clearly marked by the doctor. When we did the cross examination of the doctor, we just try to bring forth a small technique. And as you all know, when a body was buried in a cool atmosphere, more particularly when it is a cashier and a bay, it be more like a freezer. That too, when the river is flowing nearby, the ground will be showing chillness, and naturally it will delay the decomposition of a body. And we were able to utilize this small trick. And as the doctor, whether there is any possibility that the decomposition will be slowed down by virtue of its presence in an atmosphere where there is, chillness and the dryness is not there. The doctor agreed, and when we proposed a date that has been concurred, it has been acknowledged by the doctor also. So incidentally, this crucial fact helped us to overcome, the medical report which has been submitted by the doctor in the postmortem report, and we were able to win the case. And let me tell you, the forensic field plays a major role in the criminal justice system. And unfortunately, it's very unfortunate, let me tell you, no serious thought has been given by either for the purpose of either including this in the curricular structure and giving an exposure to the students. And we were very proud, we feel very, much proud in, placing before you that the Law University is perhaps the first premier institute where those students who have been pursuing the postgraduate studies has been taken for an exposure, not alone for prison visit, to see the prison condition, to have an interaction with the prisoners, to see about the amenities which are provided to the people. Besides that, we take them to the forensic lab, which has nearly around some 18 departments, more than 18 departments. And besides that, we give an exposure to the students. So whether he is there to continue the practice on the criminal side or not, or whether he is there really to take a role of a teacher or not. So please remember, whatever has gone in the classroom may not be there in his memory, but he will not forget the autopsy and the postmortem which he has visited. And let me tell you, any law student who is there to visit a postmortem, or the examination of a body, so will see a rejuvenation of his, life. He'll have really a change of mind. What is there in this society? What is there in the life? All will be pursued by a person. And incidentally, let me tell you, we feel proud in saying every batch of a student from the year 2007 has been given the option to be there to witness if he is really interested. It's a scenic atmosphere, I agree. And I think we have seen students painting and student vomiting. And this is but natural. Any person who has been taking the practice, when you see a investigative place, when you see the crime scene, it may not be in all circumstances one which is adorable. It will be having the all sickness. And the way the crime has been committed, the brutality with which the weapon has been used on the body of a person, all will be really, drowning you. It may not be keeping you in the normal temperament. But this is something which is really happening where unless otherwise you digest and perceive and keep it on observation and then take it to the level of using it in your curriculum or in the practice. Please remember, that is the skill of a teacher. That is the skill of a criminal law teacher. And then coming to the question, how the subjects which are identified need to be imparted in the legal curriculum. And as I've been telling earlier, prior to 1987 and between 1987 and 2020, and after 2020, what's happening, what's going to happen is something, showing a difference. As I've been again insisting, prior to 1987, this was more a subject which has been offered for the purpose of enabling the student to take a license to go for a practice if at all he is interested. And after introduction of the interdisciplinary, integrated law degree, they tried to bring in many features more particular, as I said earlier, a sort of clinical legal education, the dream of Dr. Madhav Menon, our founding principal in Pondicherry Law College. He has been instrumental in bringing it. And he did an error also, in the sense he was one who was instrumental in bringing in the 1 year LLM. And he, I think, he really confessed when he has been there at the VIT for a program. I think what I did, perhaps I realized that it's wrong, and which has come true with the announcement which has been made by the Bar Council of India by its rules 2020. And what I suggest is that the best way of teaching criminal law subject is that, unless otherwise, a teacher, besides knowing the subjects, besides keeping a flair in teaching, when he is besides commitment, if he has an exposure of practice, if he has an exposure of what's happening in the investigative side, not only in the investigative side, but also in the police stations, and then the skills which are used by the police officials for the purpose of completing a investigative process, and then the apparent errors which they will commit in the charge sheet, and then the mode in which the examination need to be done by the counsel. What is needed for a criminal law practitioner is that not just the legal knowledge, the presence of mind, the observing capacity. And I'm very proud to say, prior to 1987, perhaps, the very mode of walking of the witness or accused will be helping the judicial officer and even the defense counsel to ascertain whether he is one who is there in the crime scene or not. And this is the way wherein the practice was there then. And no doubt the human behavior has also changed. Now they are more immune. And I'm reminded of a small incident which has happened last week, perhaps. And Gandhiji, after independence, has been speaking about Swarajyam. And you will be remembering the words what he uttered. And he said, the real Swarajyam will be there only when a girl with all ornaments in her body has been able to travel during midnight. And I think whether we have got the Swarajyam or not, I leave it to you. But the women folk in Tamil Nadu has got the real freedom, real equality, and which has been exhibited by a small incident which has happened in Chennai very recently. A girl of middle years was had her visit to the taskmart, has entered an ATM booth and has been slumbering there till midday, not bothered about those people who have been using the ATM center, not even consider that she is a woman who is there lying in such condition. So this is perhaps speaks about the way in which the legal regulation has been done in India. And as I said earlier, between 1987 and 2020, so we have brought in so many features, in the sense the students are given opportunity to have a practical exposure of what's happening in the court corridors, the legal aid centers, in the stations, in the prison atmosphere. All these are given an enabling site for the purpose of knowing very detailed, so that besides knowing the theoretical part of it, you will also be getting an exposure to the practical side of crime and crime investigation and the justice system. But what I feel appropriate will be is that a teacher, a criminal law teacher more particularly, when he is shrewd, not only with sticking to the provisions and then examining them in the classroom atmosphere, reading about provisions and then speaking about the elements, if he brings in the live incidents which are there happening in the society, the media report, a crime which has happened in the locality on the day, and then the cases which has been decided by the Supreme Court. And I think you might be remembering, the seriousness of a comment made by a former Supreme Court judge with regard to an acquittal given to a person who has committed a brutal rape in spite of being a disabled person. And the thing is that a student is one and the teacher is one who has all freedom to make a fair comment on the judgments, and probably a case method analysis, case study method and problematic, method of teaching will be helping a student not only to take interest in the subject and to carry it further, so that when it comes to occupy a position of a practitioner or teacher, definitely it will be of, a high use. And with regard to the curriculum framing, and earlier the Bar Council of India has been regulating only the UG stream. Now that an avatar has been taken by the Bar Council of India by virtue of the 2020 rules, which, with your permission, let me go to the content of it. Incidentally, the National Higher Education Regulatory Council, so which is going to shortly make its presence felt in the Indian atmosphere, has ousted two professional courses, one medicine and the other law, and the role which henceforth has been played by the UGC will be shouldered by the Bar Council of India, in the sense it is taking new avatar even to control postgraduate, doctoral, executive, vocational, clinical, and other continuing educations which are to be imparted in the Indian scenario. And by virtue of the Bar Council of India Legal Education Rules 2020, they have given the responsibility as a regulatory body to carry on and regulate and standardize the education, legal education, not only in the practical forum, but also in the university atmosphere when it comes to imparting postgraduate studies. And incidentally, the interpretative class in with a class RI, it speaks about specializations. It means specialization shall mean specialization in any branch of law, but not restricted to constitution and public law, criminal law, etc., etc. And it speaks about multifarious subjects which are to be imparted as a specialization if the university has an option. And it also put a rider which says any person who is to have a specialization ought to have studied at least 50% of the subjects in the specialization. Then with regard to faculty, they make a mark, unless otherwise they have at least 3 core faculties. No university or no institution can impart a specialized study in postgraduate curriculum. So this is a rider which has been there in the stream. And let me bring before you a small, information. The University Grants Commission has permitted, or rather licensed, seeing the interest shown by the Indian students to go to foreign countries to take a 1 year LLM, most particularly from Singapore. The thing they thought fit, if we impart the subject in India more in the 1 year stream, that will be of benefit to the students. So with that idea, they permitted, they came in with a small clarification. It has been going on. And let me tell you authenticatingly, there are institutions who, even without one single regular faculty, has been, awarding these degrees and awarded and has been awarding, and nothing has been done very seriously, either by Bar Council of India nor by University Grants Commission, to either check or to control such machineries. This has put the students in a fateful, very, very pathetic condition, in the sense they are to face very many other problems with regard to equivalency, with regard to recognition, etc., etc. The melody has been put at rest incidentally by virtue of a specific provision in the very rule itself, by virtue of section 6, rule 6. It says as a master degree program in law of 1 year duration. It says, it stands abolished from the, permitted year, wherein after it will not be there into it. And these are some changes, no doubt, when we read the rules which has been framed by the Bar Council of India, and it is something very appalling, and it gives a hope that the legal education and the teaching, class besides curriculum will be showing a change. And let me tell you that curriculum designing, the teaching, and the mode of teaching, the method of teaching are none but equated to a small menu which is served at your table. Unless otherwise the raw materials and then the waste materials which are used in preparation of the food are of quality. Unless otherwise the person who has been preparing the dish has some minimal knowledge. Unless otherwise he does mix them in the proportionate ratio and then see to that it is coming in an edible nature. The thing is the menu may be, may not be fructifying. It may not be appealing. The same is true with the legal education also. Unless otherwise, a comprehensive and appropriate curriculum is designed. And when this is imparted by teachers who are really having the caliber and then quality for teaching, and if it is imparted by the specific modes, which really takes them not alone in the classroom atmosphere, in further, definitely, the thing is that no, the legal education really, will show a change. And let me, towards concluding the topic, make a small mark. The legal education in India has gone for a long journey. And no doubt, though it attained the record, being the largest nation to, award law degrees to practicing members and then others, the role of a teacher in performing the role is something indispensable and to be commanded. The societal perspective of advocates and the standard of practice, more particularly other than High Court and Supreme Court, and a self-assessment on the quality of young law graduates who come out of the law colleges, definitely reminds us to go for a change. So what is needed at this hour is that well-articulated curriculum, experienced, committed, quality teachers, an ideal method of imparting. And what need to be, the foremost thing need to be done is that outstanding students need to be identified, motivated, and the going goes this way. Quality input begets quality output. There certainly remains a convective correlation between quality students and quality teachers. Quality teachers will ensure quality graduates, who in turn will ensure quality teachers. The journey is within us. I remind stating, though we traveled a long journey, the journey has not seen the destiny. It is still further. Till then, no, we'll remain. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for the enlightened speech, sir. Lecture will be so clear to the participants who need to teach and what need to be taught in the criminal law, along with practical approach and the individual rights in criminal law. With your permission, sir, may I move to question and answer session, sir?
Yes, please, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Assistant Professor, Shastra Law. The question is, does teaching criminal law from criminal perspective solve the purpose of the current scenario to cope up with heavy challenges in this field?
Definitely. So the thing is, the challenge is very heavy in the sense, as I said earlier, if we really pay serious attention in not only designing the curriculum and then see to that the subject is imparted in the way it need to be done, it will see a sea change. And in my view, the pendency of cases may not be there, and the rule of law will be, administered in a better way, and the expenditure which has been incurred for enforcing the law and order, and the tackling criminal behaviors will be really, an improved version. Really, it's a challenge. So what need to be done is that not only the governance, but also the regulatory bodies need to give a serious thought into it.
Thank you, sir. The next question. Abhinav Gupta, Assistant Professor, National Law Institute of University, Bhopal. How to evolve the criminal jurisprudence for regulating cryptocurrency in India, sir?
No, still now it is not permitted to my knowledge. No, it has been going as an illegal transaction. Though a vast money has been flowing into it. And to my knowledge, I think I have a feeling the government has not recognized transaction by crypto means.
Thank you, sir. The next question, Mrs. Bhavani, Assistant Professor, SRM School of Law. To what extent the reformative theory helps to control the crime in the society, sir?
Think no, theories are just no adduced explanations for the purpose of some justification. So all theories may not be standing proved. They are postulated only with regard to, I think, no, certain perceptions. I think not can convincingly explain all reasonings.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir. The next one, sir. Nirmal Singh Hira, Assistant Professor from Tamil Nadu National University, Tiruchirappalli. Actually, the inputs are regarding practical aspects in this faculty development program. His opinion is, what should be your opinion on allowing the law teachers to practice in courts?
I think no, we advocates act as a rider in that. I think no, even those people who are there practicing are permitted to play a role of a part-timer to engage classes. But I think when you join a regular I think no service, either under the government or in the private sector, more to when you play a role of an I think no teacher, a full-time teacher, certainly the timing and then the suitability and then rationality may not be there to allow you to go for practice. But I am reminded of the circular which has been put by Bar Council of India long back, which said for social causes, for social action litigations, a law teacher may be permitted. So not only for the purpose of representing the cause of vulnerable people, besides that, I think no, they may be permitted to take up I think no chamber practice just for the sake of advice. And we cannot imagine you can take I think no double benefit both by getting a salary and by earning a livelihood by practice. That may not be possible.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir. The last question, sir, from Mr. Kamban Socrates, Assistant Professor, VIT School of Law. There are judgments both focusing offenders' right and victims' right. Can the judicial discussion be balanced in the critical analysis, sir?
The thing is that now in India, we are more oriented towards seeing to that whether the charges framed stands conclusively established before the court of law. It is accused oriented. And my serious concern is that victimology and victim's perspective is least considered in Indian scenario. And that's perhaps one reason we following an accusatorial mode of trial. The thing is that we have been seeing to that whether the cases as is charged by the investigation stands proved before the court of law by finding the loopholes in the investigative mechanism or by seeing to that the evidential expertise by way of cross examination. So advocate gives a about that giving hand to the accused to get an acquittal. But I think I'll say it is least victim oriented in India.
Thank you so much, sir, for patient answering. Moving to the end of the session. On behalf of the Chennai Dr. Ambedkar Government Law College, Pudupakkam, I thank our resource person for the wonderful and interesting, fruitful session. I once again thank you, sir, for coming and participating. Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Sir, good evening, sir. Sir, DLA, sir, good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, ma. Good evening, ma.
Day of Faculty Development Program, sir. Respected Honorable Chokalingam, sir, Director of Legal Studies. Thank you for the presence, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Really, I am very happy. One of the best.
Dr. Chokalingam?
Yes. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. I could hear your voice, though I could not see you.
The directors also, I congratulate Professor Sankar, one of the.
Thank you, Chokalingam. So let me take the opportunity to place my, wholehearted greetings, having taken the post of full-time director of legal studies. So let me see within this year, nothing else. You make a mark.
We will try our
already.
Thank you for your
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you very much.
On behalf of the directorate also, I extend our wholehearted thanks to Professor Sankar, one of the best brains, especially in criminal law, who is known for strictness, fairness, and humanness. I am really very happy. I can add one more point. Fortunately, I was his classmate while he was doing his LLB in Pondicherry. So in that aspect, I am very happy. My friend, a very knowledgeable person, especially in criminal law, have interacted, and he shared his views with all our participants. I hope all the participants would have been richly benefited from his invaluable lecture. On behalf of the college as well as the directorate, I once again extend our very, very heartfelt thanks to Professor Shankar. Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, Mr. Chakalingam, and thank you, Dr. Kauri.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shankar sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, participants, kindly fill the feedback form, which is being posted in the chat box. Sham sir, recording off பண்ணுங்க.
ஒரே நிமிஷம் பண்ணிடுறேன்.